So what we have observed is that you may have several option strategies which leads to similar sort of payoffs, right? So for instance, we considered the protective put portfolio, which involved having a stock, a share of a stock in your portfolio, as well as a put based on that uh, stock. And we saw that this basically will lead to a situation where you have got uh, limited downside losses, but potentially unlimited upside potential, right? And we saw that we were able to generate a similar type of situation using a strategy involving a call option as well as a combining that with risk-free assets, right? So we also saw that that could also lead to a limited downside risk while offering the same upside potential. So based on these findings, we are going to combine this by thinking about the following, that if you have two portfolios which are going to lead to the same payoffs in all states of the world, then it must cost the same to set up these two portfolios, right? If this is not the case, then there would exist some sort of arbitrage opportunity that one could exploit. Now, this is an important kind of like finding. So, for instance, uh, this idea that two strategies with identical payoffs in every state must cost the same underlies what is known as what is the put call parity theorem. Okay. So, what is the put call parity theorem? This is basically a relationship between the put and the call prices. When you have got options, the put and the call options both having the same expiration date and the same strike price. What's the implication of this theorem? It's basically going to tell us that if you know how to figure out how to price the call, then you don't need to separately figure out the price of the put option, but you can actually use this theorem to actually connect the things. Now, we'll see that there are some important caveats to this result. But before we get into that, let's understand how the result is derived. So in order to get this relationship between the put and call prices, what you need basically to follow the, if you like, the strategy that we have just discussed, you need to construct two strategies which will have identical payoffs in every contingency, but you want to have one which involves put options and the other which involves call options. Again, remember the idea is to connect the put and call prices of options having the same expiration date and the strike price. So you also want to have these features that you want to have the same strike price and the expiration date. So motivated by the similarity of this protective put and the call plus safe asset option that we are going to do, we are going to construct portfolios using two different strategies. Remember, in the protective put, what you do is you buy a share and you buy a put option corresponding to that share, right? With a certain strike price and expiration date. Now, we are going to compare this with another portfolio which has a call option as well as a risk-free asset. The call option is going to have the same strike price as the put option and the same expiration date. And you're going to have the risk-free bond, which is going to have the face value equal to the strike price and maturity date equal to the expiration date of options. So you'll see later why we need the second part. Why do we need the risk-free bond with these features? But hopefully it is clear that why do we need the call option with the same strike price and expiration date as the put option? Because we want to link the prices of these two things, right? And the risk-free bond has these features, and we'll see how those are going to play a part. Okay, so let's first look at what's the protective puts payoff in different states. So this is a table that we have seen before. So if you have got the stock price being less than equal to the strike price, then the put is going to be worth X minus ST. And if you have got the stock price being more than the strike price, then the put is going to be worth zero because you're not going to be exercising it. The stock is well worth ST in both the states. So the total value of this protective put portfolio is going to be just, if you add up, this is X when you have got ST is less than equal to X. And when you have got ST is more than X, this is just going to take the value ST, right? So this is again a table that we have seen before. Now let's look at the other one that we have now constructed, which is this call plus bond portfolio, right? So remember, we are going to have a call option with the same strike price. So this X will remain the same here, right? And we are going to have a risk-free bond with a face value equal to the strike price and maturity date equal to expiration date. So if it has the same face value as the strike price, so that means that this is going to be paying off X exactly at time period T in both the cases, right? So this is the first part. And the call option is as usual. So if you have got x is greater than equal to st, then this is going to take a value equal to 0. And if you have got st is more than x, then this is going to take a value st minus x. So you can now add up these two things and you end up get that if st is less than equal to x, you get that the total value of this portfolio is x. And if st is more than x, then the total value of this portfolio is st. And if you compare this with the protective put, you can see that we have actually constructed this call versus safe asset or call versus bond portfolio exactly so that these have the same payoffs in all the states of the world, right? So whenever you have got that the stock price is less than the strike price, both of these portfolios have a value of X, which is the strike price. And if you have a stock price being more than the strike price, then both of them have the value equal to the stock price, right? So this is how you end up getting the same thing. Okay, so this is the first part. Remember that we wanted to construct relationship. We wanted to construct two strategies with identical payoffs in every contingency, right? So we have successfully managed to do this. Now, how do we get to the price part? Well, here we use this principle of replication that if two portfolios always provide equal values, then they must cost the same amount to establish. So how much does the call plus, sorry, first let's look at the stock plus put portfolio. So if you have got, if you have to purchase a stock and a put, so the put's price at time zero is P0 and the stock at time zero is S0. So the cost of coming up with this portfolio is P0 plus S0. What about the cost of coming up with this call plus bond portfolio? Well, the call at time zero will cost C0. And regarding the price of the bond at time zero, remember, we want to this bond to pay off X at time period T, and this is a safe asset. So therefore, we need to discount it by the risk-free rate. So you end up that the cost of this riskless bond at time zero is going to be X divided by 1 plus RF to the power T, right? So this is the standard formula for the risk-free bond that we have studied multiple times. So therefore, the cost of building this call plus bond portfolio is given by C0 plus X divided by 1 plus RF to the power T. And this must be equal to the cost of putting up the protected put portfolio, right? So therefore, by the principle of replication, you get that this relationship must hold between the call and the put price, right? So let's understand all the things. C0 is the price of the call bond call option at price at time T0. X is the strike price. RF is the risk-free rate. T is the time to expiration of the different options. S0 is the strike price stock price at time zero, and P0 is the put options price at time zero, right? So this is how these things are connected. Now, several important caveats about this relationship. So here we are talking about stocks which do not pay dividends. If you have stocks which also pay dividends, you have to actually adjust this formula. Okay, so there are some special cases in which you can still come up with the explicit formula, which we are not going to discuss here. The second important feature is that this formula applies to European options. Remember, European options are those options which you can only execute only at their expiration period, right? Unlike American options, which you can also execute before the expiration period if you want to, but in European options, you can only execute them. So this formula that we have derived only works for European options. So these are important caveats to keep in mind before applying it. Okay, so we mentioned that the violation of this put call parity can result in arbitrage opportunities. So let's see an example of that. So suppose that you have got that S0 is 110 and the price of the call option and put option, which has a strike price of 105 and expires in 1 year, is given by 17 and 5 respectively, right? So C0 is the call of the price of the call option and P0 is the price of the put option. And RF is 5%, which is the risk-free rate. Okay, so now if we calculate both the left-hand side and the right-hand side, let's see what we get. So C0 is 17, X is 105, T is 1, RF is 5%. So this is 1.05, the denominator. So 105 divided by 1.05 is 100. So you get that the left-hand side, this C0 plus X divided by 1 plus RFT for these particular values is equal to 117. and the right hand side was S0 plus P0. So if you do the calculation, you see that it's equal to 115, and clearly then this left hand side and right hand side are not the same, right? So as a result of this put call parity does not hold true if these are the numbers that are operating in the market, right? So let's see how this can lead to arbitrage opportunities. So basically, to exploit this mispricing, if you like, you have to buy the relatively cheap portfolio. So which is this portfolio basically here, which costs 115 to set up, right? And sell the relatively expensive portfolio. So this is the relatively expensive portfolio because it was costing 117 to set up, right? Okay, why would this lead to arbitrage opportunities? So let's see what happens by looking at what is the payoff to each of these constituents. So if you want to execute this strategy, so you have to buy the relatively cheap, which is the stock plus put. So you have to buy the stock and you have to buy a put option and you have to sell the relatively expensive. So you want to sell the call option and you want to sell the bond. So selling the bond is the same thing as borrowing money, right? Remember, why is it the same thing as borrowing money? Because if you're selling a bond, you're getting money upfront and you have to pay out later on, right? So in order to execute this strategy, you need to buy the stock, buy the put option, sell the call option, and borrow 100 for 1 year. Why do we have 100 for 1 year? Remember that we want the face value to be 105. So that means in present value terms, that's equal to actually borrowing 100 for 1 year now, right? Okay, so here what we have is the values of the cash flow for the different situations. So this is the value of the cash flow now. This is the value of the cash flow next period under two different situations. So in one situation where you have got that the stock price is less than 105, and in the other situation when you have got that the stock price is greater than equal to 105. And we are going to be looking at what is the cash flow corresponding to each of these constituent parts. And then we are going to add them up to get the total cash flow corresponding to this strategy. So remember, the first thing that you want to do is you want to buy the stock. So if you buy the stock, the stock price is, remember, 110 today. So that is a cash flow of negative 110. What is going to be the value of this stock next period? So that's going to be ST, right? Which is the stock price 1 year down the line. Okay. The second thing that you want to do is you want to borrow 100 for a year. So if you borrow 100 for a year, you get 100 now, but then you have to pay off 105 next year, right? Why do you have to pay off 105? Because remember, this is the 5% rate that you have to pay, right? So you're paying off 105, so that leads to a negative cash flow of 105 next period. Then you sold a call. So the price of the call was 17. So if you sold that off, you are going to get 17 now. And if the stock price is less than 105 1 year later, you don't have to do anything. So you are going to get a payoff of 0. But if the stock price is more than 105, then you have to actually pay out, in the sense that you have to actually meet your obligation as per selling of this call. And so therefore, your payoff is going to be minus of ST minus 105. And if you buy the put, so the price of the put today is 5, so that's minus 5 today. And if the stock price is less than 105, you end up getting a payoff of 105 minus ST. And if the stock price is more than 105, then you get a payoff of 0, right? So these are each of these individual constituents. And now let's look at what is the total cash flows at different points. So in period 0, which is today, you have minus 110 plus 100 plus 17 minus 5. So that's 117 minus 115. So this is the plus 2. Interestingly, this is exactly the plus 2, that difference that you had between 117 minus 115. And CF1 is going to be ST minus 105 plus 0 plus 105 minus ST. So if you add them all up, you get 0. And similarly here, if you do the same thing for ST greater than 105, you also end up getting 0, right? So what you see is that as a result of pursuing this strategy, you get an immediate cash inflow of 2. And in 1 year, the various positions are such that you never have to, in the net, actually give out cash to anybody, right? So this is basically, you are not paying out at any period, and immediately you are getting plus 2, right? Now, you might say 2 is very little. How does it matter? Well, but you can always, scale this up, right? And so you can basically, in principle, make infinity amount of profit immediately now without incurring any risk in the future, right? So this is exactly what an arbitrage opportunity is. Of course, if you have got a lot of investors who are going to try this strategy, things are going to change, right? And we can actually exactly predict in which direction things are going to change. So either if remember, this strategy involved you selling the relatively cheap portfolio, the stock, and buying the relatively cheap portfolio. So buying the stock and the put option. So if you have got a lot of investors who are buying the stock and the put, the stock price and the put price will start going up, right? And it involved selling the bond and the call option. So if you have, again, a lot of investors selling the call option, this C0 will start going down, right? So as a result of this will start going down, this will start going up, and you will keep on going till you reach a point where you've got, again, the left hand side and the right hand side being equal, and all these arbitrage opportunities will go away. Okay. All right. So the main reference for this part is this book, Investments by Wodeken and Marcus, which we have mentioned before. And you can also refer to the Options and Risk Management chapter of the book by Corporate Finance by Ivo Welch that we have also looked at before. So this is our initial discussion about derivative markets and options, and we are going to continue with the discussion and look at some other applications of these derivatives and options next time when we meet.